1800s and a banker named Mayer Rothschild. And he made an amazing discovery that there was more wealth lending money to governments than individual people. And to stay with me, because this will explain why Gen Z can't afford anything. Rothschild would have 5 sons, who he would send to 5 different countries across Europe to start central banks: Germany, Austria, England, Italy, and France. And by the early 1800s, the Rothschild family was funding both sides of the Napoleonic Wars, which was the real World War I. And funding both sides of wars would become part of the business model. Well, Napoleon would be defeated at the Battle of Waterloo, and the Rothschilds had gotten the news before everyone else. They knew that England won the war. Well, they start selling off all their English war bonds, and they make sure everyone could see them do it. And when everyone saw the Rothschilds selling their bonds, they started to sell theirs. They assumed that the Rothschilds had information that England was going to lose the war. And when everyone started selling their war bonds, the Rothschilds bought them back for pennies on the dollar. And later that week, when everyone else found that England won the war, the Rothschilds basically owned the country. And as Nathan Rothschild said, "Give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws." The business model had become to get governments and people into debt. And when the Rothschilds saw a young America, they saw opportunity. And in 1816, they found their way into American central banking with the second bank of the United States. And your money would be worth even less today if Andrew Jackson hadn't come along and saved the country. He started what are known as the bank wars. He balanced the budget, paid off America's debt, and ended the charter of the second bank of the United States. And although an assassin was sent after Jackson, he would miss both shots, and Jackson would proceed to beat him with a cane. And that's why Jackson is on the $20 bill. They're mocking him, and they're mocking you and me. But 77 years later, the Rothschilds would take control of the American banking system with the passage of the Federal Reserve Act. That's what this book is about. It gave a small group of powerful bankers a monopoly over the printing of the American dollar. And for every dollar they print, they're paid back at interest. This is why the 16th Amendment was passed that same year, 1913. It established the federal income tax for the first time in American history. When they print this money, they get paid back at interest with our tax dollars. And there hadn't been a federal income tax for the first 137 years that America was a country. And these taxes go to paying back the bankers at interest, not the roads and the military like everyone thinks. It's usury, debt, interest. It's how you steal the wealth from the middle class of a nation. And they love the wars because they're getting paid back at interest. But every time they print that money, they're stealing from the future. It means your money is going to be worth less. It's why they had Lyndon B. Johnson push the Great Society, which made mortgages and college loans available to everyone, which was great for the boomers. But every time they took out those loans, it meant the price of housing and college would go up, up, up. So now no one could afford housing, no one could afford college without going into debt. The business model has always been to use usury to steal the wealth of nations, to control governments, and to control people.